Joining us, as always, head coach Joe Judge. Coach, congratulations on the overtime victory. Of course, it all started with some great defensive play in the fourth quarter.
Well, you know what? Complementary football was something we knew we had to have going down there. This team's very capable of making big plays in all three phases. We had to go down there and play off each other at the field position. And really setting the stage for where we are right now. We're down 11 points in the fourth quarter. It's just under 10 minutes. And we're sitting there at the decision point right there, right around midfield. Do we punt or try to go for it? The decision we made was we're going to punt, play for the field position. We still had 3 timeouts, a 2-minute. But we really trusted the defense at this point. They had to go down there and make a play. And this was a time right here. They really stood up right here, got a 3-and-out to get us the ball back. But really the elements of the 3-and-out to get really comes into fundamentals. We talk all the time on our run defense, build the wall, set the edge, don't give them anywhere to run. It really shows up right here. And we talked today in our team meeting, talking with Austin Johnson inside 98. Really, this is one of the more under-the-radar plays that you really don't notice, that really when you look at the flow of the game and how much of an impact it had, this may be one of the biggest plays in the game that gave us the opportunity to have the comeback in the fourth quarter and send it to overtime right here. And the reason I say that is this could easily go from a 2nd and 3 situation. If we let them have the penetration to get 3 yards on first down, a whole new set of downs, that changes the whole dynamic of what they can do offensively. At what point do you start using your timeouts, burning the opportunities on the back end, and be able to get those 2 scores? Exactly. And this team is very capable, as we saw, of staying on for extended drives and really burn out a lot of time. So just real quick, I'm going to start inside. It's going to be Austin right here. You'll see as the entire defense plays together. We're going to talk about Austin right here just in terms of how he plays the fundamentals of locate and shed of the interior defense line. Again, we're not really looking for that up the field penetration, run on by, and create a lane for a cutback. We're really looking to go ahead right here and just push and build that wall and be solid and just make sure we keep everything in front of us. So 2nd and 3 has to become 3rd and 3 at worst. All right, so for us right here, you watch Austin, and again, you see those front 4 right there building it. You see the edge coming on down, the second level guy spine over top. But really this is going to be just Austin right here and then Aziz coming off the squeeze from the backside right there of just shedding and then making the play right there in the backfield. And again, Austin does a good job of fronting them up. All right, Aziz comes through and finishes the tackle right here. And this puts us in a position right here for a 3rd and 2 play. Now watch it on the back end, really kind of clean up in terms of just the fundamentals we're talking about. And the number one thing we always start with our defensive line is strike. All right, so you're seeing the ball, but you're really keying the near tip of the pad on the man you're lined over. Reason being, when that starts moving, the ball's moving right there. If you're in here keying and staring just directly at the ball, when he starts moving, he can reach you, he can pin you, he can do a lot of things that your eyes aren't tied into. So when the ball turns over, you got to see that near tip, and the first thing that should be happening is you should be coming from your ankles, through your knees, through your hips, transfer that power up into your hands. And you want to hit hands in front of your eyes so you have physical leverage, hitting low to high and really controlling the man in front of you. And you watch Austin this one right here. He's going to read that near tip. He sees him going down here for a cutback. He's going to work to occupy that space right there. He's going to have some separation right here with his hands and then get his eyes up to look through the offensive lineman, locate the ball, and as he feels himself getting washed back right here with these zone runs, see the flash blocker coming back to secure the edge there. And what they're really looking for right here with Kamara is to get him pushing and then bend that thing right back in that gap right there and get vertical off it. So as they're washing the defensive line here, you see right here, they're all fighting pressure with pressure. So Dex and Leo really resisting, trying to compress this offensive line and stop that momentum going that way. And then Austin just does a terrific job right here of seeing it, shedding them right there, being in the hole. And that's where Kamara's trying to get that thing pinned back. So if they can maintain the block right there, that's the gap that's going to give them the first down. This shed right here really puts a body in his way, and then it ties in right here to reading it. We have outside force right there. Aziz can play underneath this flash blocker right here, having a man in each gap, and Austin taking up the middle right there.
Coach, if you just leave it right there, and you talk about hands and vision, right? Yeah. You would think when he was covered up that he would never be able to uncover, but he played with his hands, which means he's got both hands free here and eyes on the running back. So that's perfectly played. At the start, you see, boy, he's going to get washed down. But you talk about the hands, and once the hands, you can see, he throws the offensive lineman in one hole, and he's got the next spot.
Absolutely. It's all about talking about gap control, right? So canceling out gaps. So he throws him in that gap. I'll take this gap right here. Here's Dex squeezing, compressing. There's Leo on the edge. Here's Brad right here on the edge. You got the eyes over top with Tay and with Reggie. And then again, you've got Zay coming on the force for the outside contain with the flash blocker coming this way right here. Zay's underneath it. So there's really nowhere to go, at least by design, unless he breaks a tackle. And then you see Austin right here on the finish. He comes off the block, all right? He's in front of him. And then again, a lot of times the first guy doesn't always make the tackle. He puts contact on him right there. It's a little off balance. But then it's Aziz on a squeeze right there to finish it off with his teammate and get him on the ground. That puts us in a 3rd and 2 situation. They got to make a choice, run or pass.
And that 3rd down play brings us to the next play right here. And again, they decide to keep it on the ground and try to run the football. This time it's Taysom Hill at running back.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you go ahead right here, and they put Taysom in at running back, there's two different things you have to think about when they put him in the game. Number one, is he in there by himself, or is number two, Winston in there with him as well? There's completely different packages when they're together or separate. So when he's in there as a sole player, he's no longer that wildcat. It's now he's the quarterback. It's a run or a pass option for this guy, but just knowing by tendency what they want to do. And this team really wants to run heavy, that counter or power scheme throughout the game, where they want to run to our left, their right. And that's really what they want to do tremendously by tendency. We've got to know that and play it. In this situation here, it's an offense that is a run-first offense. You always think about Drew Brees, think about the air yards, all the success they've had in the air, but it's always set up by the run game. And the run game fuels the play action. That's why they've been successful this year. We talked to our guys this week about number 7, number 41, Kamar Hill. Those are really the guys that fuel the offense. We knew in this situation here, 3rd and 2, fourth quarter, got to have a situation. The ball's going in one of their hands. So obviously we're conscious for Kamar coming across right here in terms of how they're going to play it. But when the ball turns over right here, all right, it ends up being declared that now it's Hill, and you see right there, it's that quarterback run with the pullers coming around, the lead blockers right there. Really what we're talking about goes back again to the fundamentals of the run game, and we talk about build the wall and set the edge. And just watch from the sideline right here, this is a great example right here. You see all of our front players right here coming out of their stance with their hands in front of their eyes. Hands, hands, hands. There's a great shot here of seeing Zoe on the edge. And we talk to our guys all the time about transferring that energy, transferring that power. And again, it's got to go triple extension. So from those ankles, got to go through your knees, through your hips, and it's a great example right there. You see him where he's fully locked out. That's maximum power, all right, being displaced right there into the blocker to really go ahead and move him back. And you see that right there, that reestablish that line of scrimmage. You see that wall being built right there. Again, here's Aziz on the backside for the squeeze. Here's the second level pluggers. And again, there's Bradbury to come up, and he's the edge force player in this right here. And they all play a large part. When you see it right here, only needing 2 yards, and this guy's a tough runner to tackle. He's a big, strong man. He does a lot of really, really good things with the ball in his hand. But when there's nowhere to go and you build that wall, that puts him in a situation right now where it's a punt.
Coach, can you go back to the original line of scrimmage? So if you're here, if your line, I'm going to draw, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
If your line of scrimmage is here and it's 2 yards to go, Zoe has this guy 2 yards in the backfield. That's really it not only sets the edge, but it reestablishes the line of scrimmage because now the guy has nowhere to go. He's starting off at a loss.
Absolutely, absolutely. And for this guy right here who's really waiting for these blocks to declare, and he's really relying for these down blocks here, the puller to come around, he's waiting for space to declare and just stick it up in there aggressively and basically dive forward for 2 yards and go ahead and get a new set of downs. You've got to eliminate all those gaps. And that's why we talk a lot with ours that we don't want to be that penetrating defensive line who just runs up the field and creates seams that when that happens, you get blocked down, you get kicked out, and then there's the seam right there. The next player can make the play as that linebacker. We got to make sure we do this, all right, that we go ahead and we truly build that wall. And again, that's a heck of a look right here. We'll actually see it from the backside right here in terms of suffocating the run gaps, okay, and what they look like.
Yeah, Lorenzo taking the ground-based jammer onto the field, right, and getting that extension, that power. And
that's exactly right. And look, this is a deal. These guys do this to start practice every day. We've got those post mounts with the pad on. They start out, on a 6-point, which is toes, knees, fingertips in the ground. Then they go to 4-point toes and fingertips coming out of it, and it's working, transferring that, body position into power. And again, you see right here, Zoe coming off, reestablishing the line of scrimmage. That eats up the fullback's block as well. It clogs up the puller right here. You see Dex right there taking on 2. Reggie coming down, filling. There comes Tay. And again, the backside squeeze again from Aziz right there. And again, the thing you can't forget about is you got to have DBs who can tackle. Our corners have to tackle. They're our run force, they're our support. If you want to just sit on back here and be a light tackler, they'll take this around the edge right there. And that's really the run that a lot of teams set up in this league of go ahead and let the runner bounce outside and put him on the corner, which most teams are going to say that's the worst tackler on the field. Our guys have to understand the scheme we're playing. They have to be in position. They have to tackle.
Coach, that brings me to a great question here about your preparation. How did you guys prepare for Taysom Hill? Obviously, he's got some different plays. It presents different problems. You've got an extra blocker. Who ran that scout on the scout team? Who kind of ran that look and simulated those plays?
So based on what he was doing within the scheme, it was different players. So a guy like David Sills, who's played quarterback and throw the ball, there were times we'd have Sills run it where it was more the option look with the throw. Then there were other times we'd put some of the tight ends in there and let them see that bigger frame of the guy coming on down, let them feel the pressure. And there's other times put Gary Brightwell back there and put a jersey on him with number 7, and they could feel more of the speed and that running back cut. So we used different guys at different times throughout the week. The first thing we did with this guy right here is you've got to start out in the what. Okay, what does he do when he's in the game? What are the formations? What are the tendencies? What are the tips? And you just got to simplify it for your guys. It seems like a million things. It's not. Break it down to what are the 4 things they really do with them. And when do they come up, and what are the common denominators you can go ahead and simplify it for. All right, then you want to go into that, when do they use them? Okay, is it short yardage? Is it low red area? Those things all showed up the other day. All right, when they use them on early downs, what do they normally do there? That's when we saw the shot play down the field, the interception Bradbury had, and make sure you can tie together what they do in different scenarios with the guys on the field. So it's not just, here comes a player, there's the call, go ahead and play it. Right. It all ties together with what they're doing. And then again, you've got to be able to execute these plays. So you had to see this play over and over and over in practice. They normally only run it to our left, their right, but we would go ahead and we had to run the other way as well, run it to our right, their left, just to make sure that, hey, look, I don't ever want to put a player on the field and say to them, well, they've only shown this.
Right.
Prepare them for everything, make sure they have the adjustment before they get into the game, they can make the decision out there themselves.
Coach, special teams, obviously a huge factor in every single game, but momentum was so big on this play.
Yeah, so we talk to our guys all the time in terms of return game. You can't control and kick return when they give you an opportunity to return it. You can't block a touchback kick, okay? Punt, there's a lot of things that come into hand in terms of, the punt, are the gunners down there, what's the situation you're playing. But when you get your opportunity, you've got to make the most of it. And again, this was what we were playing for. We punted the ball down there, we put them on the 15-yard line. We stopped them on a 3-and-out. We had to make something on the punt return, getting back and make a positive gain. So for us, we're always looking to steal a first down with our returner, meaning a 10-yard return. That's always what we want. It starts with possession of the ball, number 1, and then goes to get us 10 yards. After that, that's all on you. You got to make the play. So again, we talked before about this, but the most important part of getting any punt return started is really the gunners. And you've got to be able to cancel these guys out there. They're the only ones who can leave on the snap by rule of the NFL, and they're always the best players on the field. And this team's got 2 elite guys. Montgomery up top, Gray at the bottom. These are 2 of the top 10 guys in the league right here. So to get after these guys and be able to hold them up, it's definitely a challenge. Now, we started with Darnay in the box right here, just for a schematic reason. He worked his way on out, and this is really a good job by Rodarius right here of when the ball gets turned over, we're not fit up and matched up, and he knows by scheme that could happen. He's got to make sure he plays his leverage correctly. And when the ball gets turned over, just starting with the gunners up top, this is really a good job, all right, of him funneling back in, and as Darnay goes to cut him off, Rowe just taking them and then washing them all the way down. It's a good job by Nate right here, flipping the leverage and then getting back on top. And if you just go ahead through the entire play, don't worry about anything else, but you look at when the return gets started, this guy's barely getting off the line, and he's washed all the way into the inside part of the field, taking completely out of leverage to go ahead and be a factor in cover. That's a big part right there. The next part is the gunner at the bottom of the screen. Now, ideally, you want to eliminate the opportunity for him to have an inside release, and he does a good job here. He gets really horizontal line of scrimmage right there. Love's trying to cut him off. Keon's playing over the top right here, and the biggest thing is just have constant contact down the field. So he gets to a point here, Keon overtakes it for Love, and at this point, what they're looking for is wash them on by. You don't want to get a holding penalty by trying to reach and grab them and pull them back. And what they're looking for, officials in this play, the number 1 penalty called is on the gunners. And that's really when they see something grabbed, pulled, or the gunner fall forward. So look for blocks in the back and holds. And you got to make sure, because you have the most eyes on you, you can't give up a play. Now, Gray does a good job right here. He cuts back underneath of Keon. Love's in position. Now, at this point, the returner goes ahead and hits the seam. And we're going to go to the returner at this point right here. We're talking about CJ. Now, CJ is a guy that whatever we ask him to do, he's always prepared. He works his butt off in practice every day, and he's a guy that we say all the time, practice it. This guy just runs all day. Receiver, gunner, returner, whatever it is, he's running all day long. He just keeps on going. And he's a guy that always waits for his opportunity, and when it comes, he gives you a reason to put him back on the field for every position he plays right there. He's a very good player for us, plays a lot of different positions, does them at a high level for us. This situation, obviously, Pep didn't play in the second half. He tapped CJ on the shoulder. He's always ready to go. And when his number was called right here, he definitely responded, gave us a play we needed. So again, you see up top right here, we're getting good initial holdups, all right, on the line of scrimmage, enough to start them a little bit fogged back, and they haven't had a chance to really get out to their coverage lanes right now. We're doing a decent job of getting the gunner started right here. Nate Ebner's dropping back for the MDM block right here, meaning the most dangerous man. As he sifts on back, he's looking for, okay, who's the unblocked man coming down there? Who's the guy that could help make a play on CJ before it gets started? He ends up finding a player right there. CJ does a good job stemming in. That brings all the coverage inside as they're squeezing the ball. And then when he snaps outside of his block, there's the clear space right there to get it run in space. At that point, we're teaching our guys next level. You'll start seeing all these guys working back up the field for the next block as someone who's scraping on over and work to be penalty free and get the punt return started. Again, good shot right there. CJ just getting vertical. All right, him and Keon got to get a little bit more on the same page, not to cut each other off right there. But it's a good job getting this thing close to midfield. And all of a sudden, we go from punting the ball down there, 3 and out, get the punt return, play complimentary football. Now the offense is in good position to go ahead and capitalize on it.
Coach, when you talk about they're very good gunners, And both of those guys were kind of gummed up inside the hash mark early on. I know they run down and then they funnel, but they got gummed up really early, and I think that kind of helped with the run leverage and the vision that CJ had, right?
Absolutely. And the other thing that happens too is when they get washed down inside, okay, early in the play, it distorts the other coverage lanes as well from everybody else. So as you watch this right here, it doesn't just happen on their own, but as they start coming on down through here, they're knocking other guys out as well. So as this coverage comes down, their lanes get jumbled. All right, these guys are really outside. And again, in punt coverage, you're truly looking at the 2 gunners and your personal protector. They're the 3 gunners, as you say. They're the 3 best cover guys on the field. And if you can eliminate those 3 guys from going down there and making a play, you got a chance for a big play. If you got to make the guards and tackles make a play out there, that's really what you want.
Defense got to stop. Special teams flip the field. Now it's the offense's turn, and Daniel Jones finds Saquon Barkley racing up the sidelines. Break down the play for us, Coach.
And again, this is the ultimate complementary football, all right? Special teams put you down there. Defense makes a stop. Special teams use more field position. Offense capitalizes on what it is right here. And this is actually something we saw earlier in the game. And I say we, meaning the players. And we saw it as coaches, but they came to the sideline earlier, ran this pattern earlier in the game, and Saquon ran a vertical, Evan ran a quick out, caught the pass. They didn't really respect Saquon running by him. Saquon came over and just kind of alerted everyone, coaches and Daniel, hey, look, they're not going to cover me there. Look for me later in the game. Jason did a good job dialing up at the right time. Daniel did a good job seeing it, delivering a strike. But really, this is just a good example of, finding a way to get the ball to your guys in space. And guys ask all the time about how many touches want to get, Saquon a game. Like, look, we just want to get the ball to guys who are open and make plays. We got enough guys we think can make plays in space. I don't care if it's handing off, throwing a pass, whatever we got to do, but we got to make plays when we have it in space. And this is a good shot right here. We're going to watch the top part of the field right up here. And really what you're expecting up here coverage-wise is you've got to read off these 2 defenders, okay, and how they play. And if they both sink on out, the corner sinks out, you can take the quick out right there and defend it because he's going to play more inside leverage here. If they squat right here, you're going to have a chance to hit Saquon down the sideline a one-on-one if either he squeezes and bails or they're waiting for the safety to make the play over the top. But they make the mistake here of squatting and sitting right here and letting 26 run free down the sideline, and that's something that Daniel saw and didn't hesitate to give him the ball. So just watching up top on that 2-man combination, it's a good shot here. Daniel seeing it. Ball comes over. First off, good protection inside. Plenty of room for Daniel to step into the pocket. It's more of a quick game type of throw. But again, you can see that wall built inside. And you see right here, Evans breaking early, but the corner squatted too much to really try to trap him. And again, that hesitation right here, while he's waiting for that trap on the outside pass, you get in that position right here, as we see all the time with receivers, if I'm even, I'm leaving. And he's even with the defender right there at that point. He's not going to catch up to him down the field. That ball's thrown perfectly. And at this point right here, you've got the trail player, you've got the middle of the field player coming right here, and Saquon does a good job right here of recognizing the leverage of the defender. And we work these drills all the time in practice, talked about before, and we're always keying the hips of the tackler. Now, you'd really like to go ahead and funnel him to the sideline, just make sure you get him down right here. But because he takes what we call high entry with his hips turned all the way opposite here, Saquon sees it, he cuts back across his face, and it not only eliminates him from the play, it also eliminates the chase defender because now both their leverage is destroyed. If he can keep him at this position between the sideline and here, he may give Lattimore a chance to catch from behind, clip his ankles, do something. But it's good recognition right here by Saquon of seeing him in space, hips turned, there's the cutback. Now they're both taken out of the play. All right, it gives 26 a chance to have a foot race to the end zone. He's tough to catch in that position right there and does a good job carrying it across the goal line with his pads right there. But again, watching the play in entirety, it's the speed of how it happens, okay, of getting the snap off, Daniel making the correct read, getting the ball out of his hand, and then obviously getting down the field and scoring with speed.
Now, Coach, if you pause it here, you talked about this play was set up earlier in the game because Evan Ingram ran the out route, right?
Yes.
So the natural reaction when teams like to trap, they want to bait you back into that. So they see the look that they think they're getting, and you beat them at their own game.
Oh, 100%. Because I guarantee they were talking to the sideline earlier as well and saying, hey, when we see the running back out of tight end, let's be alert for this right here. I'm looking for the pick 6 right there off the quick steal. And we were able to take advantage of that. Now, if he had bailed back out, you could just give him the ball to Evan, take the profit, keep moving the ball down the field. But again, just reading it out correctly and seeing him squat right here, there's the ball on the strike, there's Saquon, and again, that's running fast is what they do.